On episode 692 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we discuss being the person you're supposed to be. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allan, an online health and fitness coach and author of the Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm very interested to get into today's episode. I'm going to tell a lot of stories. This is one of the few episodes I think I'm going to do this much. But there's probably a lot that you don't actually know about things I've experienced and why I do what I do and what all of this stuff is about and kind of why I care and what I want for you. You know, when I was back in the Army, I was in the Army in the mid-'80s trying to get some money for college. So I signed up and I went to infantry training. In boot camp, that's where a lot happens. You know, the transformation for a lot of people happens. They take regular guys, you know, like me and all the other young dudes, and in a matter of weeks, they turn us into soldiers. They literally change the way you think, and they change the way you move, and they change the way you do things. And it was the structure and the effort that changed us. And what really struck me about all of that is how even over a short period of time, with some focused effort, you can completely change your life. I saw people who were really going down a bad path, and in a matter of weeks, they were a whole different person. It's kind of amazing. And so that's why I'm going to go ahead and launch this new program called the Fit for Task Bootcamp. Okay, it's 28 days. And I believe this 28 days can change your life if you really put the effort and time in during this short, focused period of time. It's just 28 days. Okay. So if you're feeling stuck, maybe carrying some extra weight or running low on energy, and you know you have to change. And we're going to talk about change a lot today on this program and why, mostly why, and what that looks like. But if you know that this is something you need to do, what you're going to get during this boot camp is for 28 days, each day, you're going to get a simple little mission. Okay, these missions are not hard and they're pretty easy to implement. And then I want you to focus. Now, there are going to be three core areas that we're going to focus on. That's nutrition. Well, four. Movement, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. So each day there'll be a small mission. Some of those missions will be just something you'll do right there that day. Others we will stack. So over the course of the 28 days, you'll be stacking these little habits. And as you stack these little habits, you'll get stronger, you'll get leaner, and you'll be more in control than maybe you've been in years. Okay, so this is the Fit for Task Bootcamp, 28 days. Go to 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp and join us. Again, this could be the thing that changes your whole trajectory and changes your life for the better for the rest of your life. Go to 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp today. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. I'm excited to be here and excited to share these stories with you because these are stories over the course of my life that have had a huge impact on the way I look at health and fitness. And I hope that it'll do the same for you. Now, I'm going to start with my story. And if you read my book, The Wellness Roadmap, you know the basics of my story of me finding myself at 39, very unhealthy, very unhappy, and determined to do something about it. And for 8 years, just did the struggle, did the ups and downs, the roller coaster of all of this, and just couldn't find the way. And I tell the story that my daughter called, and that was kind of the trigger. I got on a call with my daughter, and that was the moment. That was the moment that everything changed. What I haven't said is really kind of how deep that conversation went and why it impacted me the way that it did. Now, my daughter had just started CrossFit. She was really excited about it. I had taken her to Houston to get her level one cert. So she was everything that I had been when I was her age. I mean, had CrossFit existed back then, 100% I'd have been doing it. Instead, I was in the military, as I mentioned earlier in this show. I was in the military. And so basically, yeah, I was an infantry soldier in a ranger unit. I was running around doing the same stuff that she was doing 20 years 30, 25 years later. And so when I was on the phone with my daughter and she tells me, Daddy, would you come watch me in a CrossFit competition? That was the moment. That hit me in the gut harder than anything had ever hit me in the gut in any conversation, anything I've ever talked to her about, because it wasn't what I needed. It wasn't what I wanted. But it was real. It was the truth. And sometimes the truth just hits you in the face. And that was one of those moments where when she said that, I was like, wait, I'm not supposed to be a spectator in my daughter's life. I'm supposed to be a participant. And as I thought on that moment over the years, I realized that actually what it was not just that I felt challenged or felt like I wasn't living up to something. It was deeper than that, much deeper. She didn't ask me, would you come with me and would you also do the competition? She didn't ask me if I would do it with her. It was, would you come watch me? And as I got to, like I said, over the years thinking about that, not only was this something about my self-respect, which is the way I've kind of presented it over the years, but what I realized was that she didn't respect me either. But I didn't deserve her respect. In the reality of things, I didn't. I was not living my life the way I was supposed to. And as the result, I just wasn't who I was supposed to be. So today we're going to be talking about who you're supposed to be. And most of us know the lives we're living now are not the ones that we should be living. We're not who we're supposed to be. I talk to a lot of trainers and they talk about changing yourself into a new version. And I don't think that's what we actually do when we change. I think we just actually revert back to what we were supposed to be in the first place. I think when we actually make changes and we lose weight and we get more fit, we're living full, healthy lives. I think we're just living the lives we should have been living all along. And we got lost along the way. And so I've launched the boot camp, and I talked about it a little earlier about how, we need something. Basic training changed a lot of lives for a lot of people because it was a focused period of time of doing something for this. The fitness was a big part of it, of course, but it was also mindset and just understanding that, okay, if you're going to be this person, in that case, it was being a soldier, you have to do things different. You have to think different. And so that's what the boot camp will do, is it'll give you 28 days for you to go through the process of revisioning yourself. Okay, who are you supposed to be? Now, the story I just told you, yes, that completely changed everything. It got me moving, got me challenging myself again. And so, a few months later, I asked her, my daughter, to do a Tough Mudder with me. Now, I wasn't ready for a Tough Mudder, which meant I knew I had a lot more work in front of me. And so what I was doing there was basically creating a short-term vision. And so when we think about vision, and I've talked about vision in my book, I've talked about it a lot, you need a vision to know the direction that you're going. Where do you need to be? And so I created a short-term vision, what I call the now vision. And my now vision was that I needed to be ready to do this Tough Mudder. I needed to earn my respect back. I needed to earn her respect back. And I needed to earn it. So you don't get it, you have to earn it. And so everything I started doing from that point forward, it was a lot more than 28 days, by the way, but within about 28 days, I was definitely moving in the right direction. And that's what you need to do too. And so what you want to do is, in the short term, think about what you need. So you already, maybe there's some aches and pains, you're on some meds, you need to lose a little bit of weight, maybe a lot of weight. Think about your short-term need. What do we need to change? What do we need as an outcome in the short term? And the outcome, the vision, could be any of those things, all of those things. So we're going to have the needs, and then we're going to have the wants. Now, I talk to a lot of people who used to do something. Okay. They used to play a sport. They used to, be able to do certain tasks, and they can't do them now. And, it's the knees, it's hips, it's this, it's that. They just can't do the things that they want to do, but you should be able to. I couldn't do the Tough Mudder when I made the decision I was going to do a Tough Mudder. Now, did I need to do a Tough Mudder? Not necessarily. I probably could have gone about this a lot differently. Maybe just gone and done a CrossFit workout with my daughter, and that may have been enough. But I wanted something more. I wanted to get back to something I was, who I was supposed to be. And so that's why I set that short term vision, which, for me was about 8 months. I'm going to do a Tough Mudder with my daughter. Okay. And I know that I'm driven by that type of want. Your wants might be a little bit less intense. You might just want to be a good grandmother or grandfather and be able to get down on the floor with your grandson and granddaughter. And maybe you're kind of afraid to take them out because they go sprinting off. I don't know why 3-year-olds just do that, but there's that random, I'm going to sprint off, catch me. They're playing and they don't know the world they're in and how dangerous that can be. But if you want to be that grandparent that can catch them and keep them safe and play with them and give them a good young life and a good memories of who, Papa or Nana or whatever name you're going to go by, that's what you need to do. That's what you want to do. And so you're going to have to change the way you do things if you want those things. But that's the short-term vision, and that's attacking it today. Okay. And I think the boot camp can help you. I'll give you some more details on that later. Now, the next one I want to jump to is a story that, it's not about me. I was there, but it was one that really had a huge impact on the way I look at my relationships and the way I look at myself. I was in Puerto Vallarta taking a vacation. This was, I don't know, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that, probably 5 years ago. And since I married Tammy, I had never taken a vacation by myself. And so we have a timeshare. Have told you about my timeshare story, my Puerto Vallarta story before? Yeah, I have that timeshare. I still have it. And so I was going to Puerto Vallarta to spend a week. And as I arrived, I was in an Uber and I'm riding the Uber, and all of a sudden the Uber starts bouncing up and down, like literally bouncing side to side. It was kind of crazy. It was a pretty massive earthquake. I mean, to be able to bounce a car, a pretty solid earthquake. And so I get to the resort, and for safety reasons, they had pulled everybody out of the resort, and they needed to send some structural engineers in just to make sure there were no problems with the building and it was safe to return. So everybody's standing outside as I get there. They're not going to let me check in until this is cleared. So I'm seeing people, and I see this older woman, and I say older, not much older. She was probably in her late 60s, somewhere around that range. And she's just hugely distraught. I mean, she's crying and I mean, to a point of wailing. She's like so, and I know people can get emotionally invested in a natural disaster. It's scary, and it's jarring, but this was more than that. This was different. So I walk up to her because no one's helping her, no one's talking to her. I walk up to her and I ask her if she's okay. And that's when she tells me that her husband is still in the building. And I'm like, what's going on? She said, well, the elevator was offline because of the earthquake, and he couldn't walk down the stairs. And so she had no choice but to leave him there and come down and tell them he was still in the building. They sent a couple people up because I asked her if he needed help, and she said no. And they didn't have phones because they had just run out of the room and they didn't have their phones. So she didn't know if he was okay or not. And she was just so upset. And the reason I tell that story is for most of that week, I got to thinking, I would never want to have to send my wife away. I would never want to not be able to walk down the stairs, take care of myself, and basically have her have to leave. I couldn't even imagine doing that to my wife. And I think about her, and she could go up and down the stairs, but she wasn't strong enough to maybe support him to help him get down the stairs. So maybe she felt pretty bad about that too. And if we're truly a partnership, that's something we should be thinking about as we both get older. We talk about, well, I want to get old with you. Well, not if old is leaving you in a building, and not if old is sending you away because I can't walk down the steps. So as we start looking at our vision, there's the then. Okay, now they were in their late 60s, maybe early 70s. They weren't that old, but he obviously was not in very good shape. And as a result, he was stuck in the building till two big burly men walked him down the steps and got him out. But that was very jarring for her. And my guess is in the future, they're going to have to consider his capacity when they go places. We need the ground floor. We have to be this, we have to do that. They're going to have to change their future. And it means that all the things they may have had on their bucket list, they're going to scratch them off without doing them because they just can't. So the second part of vision, you have the now part, and then you have the then part. And the then part is what do you want to be able to do in the future? What do you need to be able to do in the future? Well, you may need to walk downstairs if there's an earthquake and the elevator's not working. Okay. Can you do that? You may need to be able to carry something, drag somebody, help somebody up. I live on an island and there's not really an ambulance. If we were to call an ambulance, I don't even actually know the phone number because it's not that dependable. I've got to be able to pick my wife up, get her into the vehicle, and I don't actually have a driver's license right now. So I would be driving illegally, but I don't care. Stop me if you must at the hospital, but I'm going to get her to the hospital because that's what I need to do. So I have to be capable to do the things that I need to do and will need to do in the future. And there are going to be things I want to do, and I want to be able to do those things. I live on an island. I want to be able to walk around, hike, do stuff. I want to be able to play games. I want to be able to play volleyball. And yes, volleyball's a then. I want to be doing those things. And then grandchildren. I'm going to have a grandchild soon and a grandboy. And I want to be there. I want to be able to do things for him and with him. One of the things I was thinking about was because I'm 59. So by the time when he's born, I'm going to be 59 and a half, eligible to start taking out of my IRA. How's that? But that's a big difference to be almost 60 years older than your first grandchild. Now, today kids are having kids later. But what I realized, but he's going to graduate college. Let's say he does it in his 20s like he's supposed to. I'm going to be in my 80s. But guess what? I'm going to be able to get on a plane and go where I want to go and do what I want to do. I'm going to be there. Okay. I'm going to be there. When he gets married, which, again, not getting married till his 30s, I'm going to be in my 90s. I want to be there. And so when I look at what I need to be able to do and what I want to be able to do in the future, that's my future vision, capacity, ability to be there. Those are life experiences that I want to have. They're going to happen whether I'm there or not, but I want to be there. And so when you're looking at your future vision, realize that it's the things you do today that determine who you're going to be then. And had this guy been working on leg strength, then he would have been able to walk down those stairs. Even if his balance was a little off, there were handrails. He could have used the handrails, but for balance, but strength wise, he didn't have the leg strength to go downstairs. That's something that can be trained. And he hadn't done it. And so he couldn't. If I don't train and I don't take care of myself, I won't be there for my grandchild's graduation. I may not be there for his wedding and the other things that will happen in life. I want to be there. Now, I'm going to tell you one more story and then I'll wrap this up with a few things. But Glenn was a guy and he loved golf. Now, when I say loved golf, I mean, this was his life passion. Golf was his soulmate, if you will. It was, he really loved golf. He lived on a golf course and he was in sales. And, in the day, that's how sales were done. You take a client out to the golf course, you play around, you sign a contract. And so he was pretty much on the golf course playing golf every day of his life. And he loved it, Now, around the age of 80, Glenn started having some strength and balance problems. And so he decided he couldn't play golf anymore, and he put his clubs away. Now, most people would say, okay, cool. You're old man. Most people have to put away things like that as they get older. This is just normal. But Glenn lived another 15 years, 95. And as a result, the last 15 years of his life, he didn't get to do the thing he loved the most. And that's tragic. But unfortunately, it gets worse. Now, by the time that Glenn is 90, he's living in this assisted care apartment, and there's a number. He can call down, and someone can come over, and they'll take care of him. And but the problem is this: he's sort of independent. He has his own place, but if Glenn's sitting on his chair and realizes he needs to go to the bathroom, he won't make it. He couldn't get from the chair to the bathroom and get everything organized before he had to go. And as the result, he'd have to call down to the office to have them send somebody up to clean him up because he couldn't do that either. Because of that, for like the last 5 years of his life, he did not want visitors. He basically became a hermit, living in that apartment all by himself, never leaving, and no one visiting. And that's why I didn't get to see my grandfather for the last 5 years of his life. And I think about that all the time. If we live longer, which we are, what kind of life are we going to have? What is our health span? How healthy are we? And are we going to end up in these terrible situations that a lot of older people find themselves in? Now, the couple in the elevator, they were just in their, maybe early 70s, worst case. What is his life going to be like when he hits 75, 80? I can't even imagine. And it's probably going to trail a lot like Glenn's, a lot like my grandfather's. And you shouldn't want that. I don't think you want that. And so this is where I really want you to start thinking. If your health is not where it needs to be, over the course of the last few weeks, I've been sharing the quiz I launched, the Long Life Readiness quiz. If you haven't taken it, you can go to 40plusfitness.com/RQ. I think I got it under LLRQ too. So 40plusfitness.com/LLRQ. And that will take you to the quiz. It takes about 2 minutes. It's absolutely free. You answer those questions, which I think you probably right now might know the answer a little bit better than you did before we had this conversation. But take that quiz, because beyond just getting your answer, you're going to get some guidance. And so I think that can help you a lot. So do take a moment to do that. You can pause this if you need to, but go take that quiz, because I think that's going to give you a lot of information on the stories I've shared today. Where are you? Are you who you're supposed to be? Are you going to be who you're supposed to be? And what changes do we need to make today to make sure that happens, that you are who you're supposed to be? Now, with every challenge, there are obstacles. Okay. And I want to talk about some of the obstacles that we're going to face in this world. And really, I want you to think about how you're going to overcome them. Okay. The first one is time. Okay. A lot of people will try to procrastinate. They'll delay this. Like, I'll start next year. I'll find a better time. I'll make time. To quote Geoffrey Chaucer, time and tide wait for no man. Okay. You are getting older every minute, every second. You're older right now than you were when you started listening to this podcast. And so that's not going to change. Time is not your friend. Time is not in your favor, and waiting is not going to get you there. You have to do something. And the time is now. Every minute you wait, every hour you wait, every day you wait is a lost moment of time. So time and delay are not your friends. Okay. Now, the second obstacle is effort. And I'll be the first to tell you, change is hard. We develop really deep habits that really don't do us any good. They do not serve us. And it is hard to change. It's one of the hardest things a human being can do. It takes effort. And I told you on the boot camp that this is like a concentrated short period of effort. Doing it in a quick, easy, rip the Band-Aid off kind of way can actually work pretty well. Now, the boot camp isn't built that way. it is a make a small change, make a small change, make a small change. Because when you make small changes, they're easier to swallow. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if you can put effort in for a set period of time, like just really sprint, like just get in that get in that sports car and just haul ass. Sorry for the language, but hey, this is important stuff. So if you can put yourself aside for a short period of time, put in some small little changes and stack them, you're going to see yourself start moving forward. Okay. So a big obstacle is effort. If you don't put in the effort, you're not going to get what you want. Change is hard. It takes effort. The next obstacle is money. And it's interesting to me the way people think about money. And I noticed, I was walking through Bocas del Toro where I live, and there's these guys, and they sit on the sidewalk, and they sell lottery tickets. And it's funny because I look at it from an American perspective, and I'm like, there's no way I would buy a lottery ticket from three guys sitting on a sidewalk with little pieces of paper. It feels like a scam. And then the other side I thought was, okay, well, the maximum prize on this is like $10,000. I've seen a couple of the drawings. It's $10,000. I'm like, okay, yeah, an American would never do this because it's not nine figures. It's not 100 million, 900 million. It's not enough money. It's not life-changing money. That's the mindset. If I could just win $500,000,000, $500,000, $500 million, it would change my life. Well, of course it would. $10,000 will actually change the life of an average Panamanian. That's a lot of money for them. And so it would change their life too. And it got me to thinking about money and what is life-changing money. And I was like, oh, well, if I sat down and thought about what is life-changing money to me? And I remember when I was younger, and I was calculating what I would need to retire. And I came up with a number like 7 million. So if I won the lottery back then and it was 7 million, I would not have to work again. I would not have to do anything else again. It would change my whole life. But, now looking back, I'm like, it was never 7 million. It was never was. It was the investments that I made myself. So I'll ask you this question. If you invested $1,000, $2,000 in yourself and you lost the weight you wanted to lose, you got stronger, you had more energy, and then as the result, you avoided a lot of the things that we talked about in these stories. You weren't stuck in a stairs, like making your wife leave. You weren't sitting at home alone, not taking visitors because you can't make it to the bathroom in time. You didn't have to give up the things you loved, like golf, time with your family, being able to crawl around on the ground with your grandchildren. You had all of those things and you lived a longer, healthier life. Wouldn't that $1,000 or $2,000 be life-changing? So see, life-changing money is not how much you get. It's what you do with it. And if you could live a better life, the life you were supposed to live, even a small investment of maybe a couple $1,000s could do that, could be your life-changing money. So I want you to think a little bit about this obstacle because people say, I can't afford it. And I have to ask the question, if you know that one of these stories I told above was yours, that you were going to lose the things you love, you were going to lose the things you need, you were going to lose your independence, and you were going to lose relationships. What is life-changing money? Are you going to let money be an obstacle? And then the final bit is ourselves. The more time we spend thinking about this, the more time we spend thinking about what's going on, and the more time we have to convince ourselves this isn't the right time, this isn't the right amount of effort, this is too much, I can't spend this money. We talk ourselves out of doing the best thing for ourselves. We can be our own worst enemy. We can be our internal voices that tell us we can't, we shouldn't, we never, we always, all those self-hate words. When the reality is you can, you should, and yes, you will if you want to, if you put yourself into this. So don't let these four obstacles, time, effort, money, and yourself, keep you from making the decision and doing the things that you want to do. Now, I've launched the boot camp, the Fit for Task Bootcamp. No, it's not thousands of dollars. It's actually, I made it so affordable, it's actually insane. But I want you to go check it out at 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp, because 28 days of concentrated effort with small changes that over time will make a big difference. It will change your trajectory. It will get you moving in the right direction. And the only obstacles between you and getting that 28 days to work for you to change your life, perhaps forever, is making the time, putting in the effort, spending a little bit of money, and then getting in and putting yourself into it and not letting you stop you. Don't sabotage yourself. Go to 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp. You'll learn more there. Sign up. I promise if you'll come in and put yourself into this boot camp, it will help you. It will change you. And so with that, I'm going to thank you for listening. Again, 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp. I didn't mean for this to come out as a sales thing, but I did want you to stop and think about what not doing something means, not changing means. Your future self is determined by what you do today, the decisions you make today. So get your future self on track. Get that future self to thank you for what you made and just did today. Make the decision, do the thing. 28 days later from now, you could be fit for task. If you enjoyed today's show, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you would, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we meet Henry Abbott and discuss his book, Ballistic, the new science of injury-free athletic performance. And I want to remind you about the 40 Plus Fitness Fit for Task Bootcamp. You can find that at 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp. It's 28 days that could change your life. 40plusfitness.com/bootcamp. Until next week, have a happy and healthy week.